Business is gambling, plain and simple. And if business itself were as simple as that, we'd all be doing it and have paradise on earth. That was life for Sam Rothstein, the master of sports betting. Portrayed by Robert De Niro in Martin Scorsese's 1995 mob film Casino, Sam was the prized PR director at the Tangiers in Las Vegas. He was so good at his job, the mob sent their toughest muscle to be his personal bodyguard. What was his secret to success? Would he make a good business mentor? If so, what can you learn from him? Here are 9 lessons you can pick up from the movie. First, know your business. Sam Rothstein knew his business inside and out. He was the foremost expert on American sports betting. He describes his expertise as being on the level that could affect every bookie's odds from sea to shining sea. Some would call Rothstein's style of management micromanagement. It probably was, but it worked. The big bosses liked what he did for them, and no one who worked for him screwed around. The guys who did screw around were part of the mob's skimming operation in the back room, an operation that the board of directors upstairs had no clue was going on. Why? Well, they never went downstairs. They weren't like Sam, the micromanager. On the casino floor, Sam ran things smoothly and by the numbers, like clockwork. So you can either be more like him, or you could be like the oblivious board of directors. One thing about micromanagement is that sometimes it works and other times it doesn't. It worked for Sam. He knew every detail related to sports, from which quarterback was doing cocaine to whose girlfriend was pregnant, from wind velocity in a football game to the bounce factor in a basketball court. He knew it all. It was a pretty amazing skill that he developed pre-internet. To get this good, it meant that he was at it all day and all night. The guy was too busy doing what he loved to be looking for success. It found him. I once heard a guy compare being in business to doing a soldier. It's a 24/7 job, and yet too many people expect it to be like being employed, where someone can cover you if you can't show up for work. Do you think Sam ever missed a day of work? I doubt it. I think he took care of his business daily. Not only that, but he found a way to make it better. He innovated. Put simply, he was the first to bring sports books into a Vegas casino. He made bookies legit. By offering something no one else had, it put the Tangiers ahead of the competition. They were the hottest game in town. He gave customers a reason to keep coming back, and if a big whale tried to leave after a night of big wins, Sam would find a way to keep him gambling. He valued repeat customers. After the mob got kicked out of Vegas and big corporations took over, casinos became like airports, as Sam puts it. It used to be a place where the bartender knew your name and your favorite drink. If you were treated like a VIP, wouldn't you keep coming back? Not everyone got the VIP treatment, of course. Not if you trash the casino's image. Tangiers was a classy place. When a cowboy gambler took off his boots once and put his feet on the poker table, how did Sam handle it? He had the guy kicked to the curb. It turns out that the gambler was a friend of Tommy's, but that didn't matter as much as the Tangiers' image, because to Sam, image is everything. He was a professional, always impeccably dressed. I mean, the man was polished from head to toe. When your business is big money, you have to look the part. Sam had the right image and behaved accordingly, and that image carried over to his wife too. Ginger, his wife played by Sharon Stone, always looked to die for. Yes, pun intended. I realize that nowadays, comfort reigns supreme, but there's a lot to be said about looking your best the moment you go out in public, where the way you look and how you act says a lot about you. Take a cue from Sam and Ginger, if you please. The Tangiers' image extended far beyond the game floor. Sam paid very close attention to the entertainment and shows at the casino as well. He went so far as to have a French dancer fired for failing to meet his standards. I would argue that this was micromanaging gone wrong. What do you think? How do you think he should have handled that? Admittedly, he wasn't all aces. Other things could have gone better. There's a rather comical scene where Sam gets up from his desk and he is without trousers. He puts them on only because the secretary informs him of a visitor. The county commissioner wants to have a word about his nephew getting fired. This scene pays special attention to how both men dress. His image didn't help him win over the commissioner. However, it was a problem that couldn't have been solved just by looking the part. If you were in his shoes, how would you have dealt with the commissioner? It's where good people skills come into play. Sam knew to comp politicians and state officials. He knew to take care of the whales, like the businessman from Japan, but sadly, his people skills ended there. He needed more of it. That's where Sherbert came in, a very personable man, played by Don Rickles. His job was to soothe bruised egos. Ginger rounded off Sam's sharp edge in dealing with people. She was as skilled as a politician when working a room. She just had a way of making VIPs feel special just by being in the same room as her. Ginger also knew how to take care of people. The attention she paid to the little guy is one reason things ran rather smoothly. But was she really the right choice for Sam? Was she an asset or a liability to the business? At least Sam handled Tommy's friend just fine, but working with a guy like Tommy, he had to set boundaries. Keep in mind the Casino is a mob film. To Sam, it was a balancing act between keeping his bosses happy and dealing with Tommy, the muscle played by Joe Pesci. Tommy took advantage of the boss's inability to hover. So Sam had to draw a line between business and friendship, not the easiest thing to do. He had to keep pointing out to Tommy how Vegas was different, how it wasn't like Chicago, that he had to be careful. But did Tommy listen? Of course not. Tommy does his own side hustle with the hole-in-the-wall gang, cutting the bosses off from their cut. Unlike Tommy, he kept business above board. I know, this should be a given, but this is a mob film. Like always, Sam was a professional. He didn't horse around or get into any monkey business. He kept everything clean and honest. He knew his place and never messed with the bosses. In real life, people sometimes do business under the table, cut a few corners, pull a fast one, or skim from profits. When they get caught, they get maybe a slap on the wrist, or something more serious like losing their license. Maybe they get blackballed in the industry, or worse. In Casino, it was literally Sam's job to catch scam artists, anyone who attempted to con them, to con the mob-backed Tangiers. Now, Sam may have kept a good head on his shoulders, but as you know, Tommy didn't. The side hustle Tommy gets into was to rob stores in town, and get a lot of press for it. When the bosses found out, what did they do? They had Tommy and his brother stripped naked, beaten, and buried alive. There's no way that would ever happen to Sam. The car bomb doesn't count. It wasn't sanctioned. To the outfit, Sam Rothstein was indispensable. Despite Tommy's desert tirade, the mob needed Sam. He was integral to their Vegas operation. Not all businesses are run by a single person. People put up a business with friends or work in a team, but not every team member is good for the business. Not everyone is an asset. Just take a look at Tommy. In a legitimate business, a guy like Tommy would get voted out. In mob movies, you get whacked. When Lady Luck left him, Sam didn't get whacked. He got kicked out of Vegas. But that didn't stop him from getting back into sports betting. In fact, the mob still used his expertise after things had cooled down. Not everybody gets back on their feet, but Sam was resilient. He had the will to keep going, to soldier on and not be paralyzed into inaction, like a deer caught in headlights. He got right back up and found another way to stay in the gaming industry. It would take more than a car bomb and a gaming commission to end a guy like Sam. And for us, even when Sam failed, it was a lesson, just like it's supposed to be. Mistakes, as they say, are simply learning opportunities. What lessons did you pick up from Mr. Rothstein?